Welcome back to episode 48 of FTB Infinity Evolved Expert Mode. And, yeah, things are getting emptied down here. I'm rapidly moving stuff over. You'll see missing bits and pieces all over the place. It is partially we're still working. That's one of the major points that I want to get rid of pretty soon, to be honest. But, yeah, I'm pretty happy about the state of moving. I need to delete a lot of stuff in here, to be honest, and move a lot of other stuff. So why don't we get to what I need to do this episode. Let me just for a second grab those and just start melting stuff down. So I've moved all of this all out. If I didn't show you that last episode, I can't remember whether I got up to that point. I am spawning XP again and spawning villagers again because I'm getting wither skulls. And I'm getting wither skulls because we need to kill the wither. And I made my usual wither box, so I just thought I'd quickly go over that. Very simple. Lots and lots of CS spraying, unfortunately for me, not so unfortunate for you. So there it is. So this is 3x5, and it is actually 6 tall. I think it's into the ground one, if I remember rightly, so that the bottom doesn't get blown out. Slightly bigger, I think, than you perhaps need, but it works well for me. So let's just kill her with a while we're here, shall we? And I need to request some skulls. See how many the farm's made. Ah, 54. That will do. I don't want that many, thanks. And let's get 3 wither skulls. Pop them in here. 1, 2, 3, and back away. Now, we are about to get into Draconic Evolution, as I promised before. And part of Draconic Evolution, and later on, is the ability to kill the wither. There is... there's one, and it's going to bounce off these off. If I try and kill it anymore. Yeah, can't kill it anymore. Have to hit it with something. There we go. One wither kill. And another nether star, which is just what we want. And yellow hearts, which again I need to convert up into health. So yes, we've got a wither box, and that's manual for the moment, but it won't be for very much longer. There is a mob grinder in Draconic Evolution, but there's also ability to teleport things. Those two combined will lead us to moving the wither into a completely enclosed box rather than one with a couple of holes in it. And then from there, we should be able to kill it with that instant kill thing. But that requires us to get to the kind of higher end teleporting of Draconic Evolution. But to start with, let's start with the easier end of teleporting. Where have you gone? Ah, there we go. I just want a couple of these because I want a magma crucible, and having these is very useful. One. No, I don't melt the gears. I'll get another couple of Invar gears going. So let's go and tediously walk over, hopefully not too much longer now, by clicking on this purple square. I had a couple of comments between the episodes just asking about these. Let me just go over these. I've now upgraded this to dense, 832 channels, and moved everything into these. Someone commented, I think it was Dinnerhole1, talking about subnetworking a subnetwork. And yes, you can absolutely do that. You can repeat this over here and have another subnetwork beyond it without using any more channels on your main network. Except there's a few issues with it. Okay, so if I'm using 2 channels for this, one for this, one for this, that's 4, I'm counting. Then I'm going to get another pair of these on this side, that's 6 used on the first subnetwork. Now I only get, 1 or 2 machines, and to be honest, I'm not too bothered about doing that. It gets even worse if you have here, you specify these. For then some reason you can't, if you put another subnetwork down here and do the same thing, you can't see both sets of components from the main network. Then you have to put in an extra interface here, which means you're down to 1 machine in your first subnetwork, and visual glitch. Here, yeah, at that point, I thought, enough's enough. Let's just keep to 1 subnetwork off the main network for each group of things, and these will just keep in stock all the things I need, all nicely done, without any kind of fuss. So if ever I take these out of the system, I will always have a buffer which will always keep crafting as quickly as possible. The same thing happens on this side, by the way. These are now crafting chipsets. So every time I need chipsets, it'll just make them and deliver them back to that thing down there. And note that when interfaces are connected together like this, you only need one connection and it'll pass through all the connectivity. So there's 4 channels in use here, but you only need one cable. And then there's, obviously a CPU, another drive, and a couple of storage buses. So yeah, that's me finished explaining that for this episode. We've gone through it before. I don't think we're going to need so many more channels that is going to be a problem, to be honest, but we shall see. I've just put a platform up there just while I set things up. I did actually want to make a magma crucible though. And set a couple of things up. Magma crucible. And while we're doing this, we may as well use resonant stuff because I've made a few of them. Just in case. And let's put it in this one, I think. Do I have any interfaces? Of course I don't. Interface. And yeah, this system that keeps on crafting one whenever I take the last one out is absolutely great for interfaces too. Now, of course, this would normally be a fluid transposer, and that will be how I set this up eventually. But for now... Oh, in fact, I think I don't want an interface. I think I want an export bus. This setup over here. So you can do it with interfaces, like the one I had set up along here. Excuse me. But it's often as effective, at least for me, to have an export bus here exporting the whatever's going to be turned into the fluid. So this is always full. Again, in the same way that we use buffers to save time, same thing here. So now this pattern is just insert a glowstone dust and instantly, well, near instantly, get a blaze powder back. And we're going to do the same thing again, but this time I want to have, where are you, magma crucible? I want the export bus. Did I go and get one? I didn't. Can't believe I did that. It's about typical. Export bus. There we go. And we want ender pearls. This is where it gets expensive. But as long as I get enough of a supply of ender pearls going, which I'll need to do soon. Let's just put you down there and say ender pearls. And that should work if everything's connected. I think it is. This isn't configured yet, so I need a crafting card. But that will come later. Yeah, there it goes. It just needs power now. And I'm out of duct. And in general, you don't really need the higher tiers of power here, really. Oh, this is resonant, I suppose, so you can need the higher tiers of power. But it's because you're only crafting the buffer whenever you run out of components, it's not so big a deal to not worry about it initially. So you see here, it's actually going to start melting the ender pearls down. And this is what we're going to do to make the Enderium power line. However, initially I need to make something else. I need to make Enderium blocks. Will that work? Sort of seems crude. Oh, no, it does appear to work. Let's wait for this to finish and I'll make a few. And apologies for the first third of the episode. I forgot I was in window mode, so you probably saw a bit of the UI going off the edge of the screen. Sorry. Yeah, so that made 4 blocks of solid ender, which is what we were looking for. New kind of item. Not sure if it's used for very much other than Draconic Evolution, and this is what we're actually looking for. 4 blaze lamps, 4 blocks of solid ender, and a wyvern core. And a wyvern core is vibrant alloy, flux electrum ingot, mana steel, thaumium, around draconic cores, around nether star. Draconic cores are Draconian Ingots. Okay, so let's get started with Draconian Ingots. You used to be able to get double what at least quadruple, actually, I think, with Draconium Blend, I want to say. Yeah, you can't use it anymore. That says depreciated. I assume it means deprecated. But you can't use it anymore. But I do have quite a lot of Draconium Dust and Draconium Ore. A lot of that came from either the end. I've had a comet out there. If you go out, well, probably about 1,000 in every direction from the main island, you'll go and find comets, just static emplacements of lots of endstone in like a huge comet structure. And inside those, you'll find lots of Draconium ore. But it's Draconium dust that we want, and I think we can just smelt this. I will have to grab it out of this system if I smelt it here, but that's fine. Because this happens to be a resonant furnace, so it's really quite fast. So, Draconium ingot. There we go. I'm doing it here because I can only really see what's inside this subnetwork from here. I can't see what's in here unless I put the stuff in this interface and it's full. So, yeah, I can't see outside, but that's okay. It's quite quick. I'll just make more furnaces for general use in future. So there we've got our Draconium, and we wanted that with some gold, I believe. Let's just get that charm of Dislocation. I believe, I've not used this before, I believe this thing works a lot like the books on stands from Mistcraft. So I'm going to need 16 of these, am I? And that should be exactly what I can do. Yeah, because I made a full stack of Draconium. And one Wyvern core. I'm surprised I had all of those in stock. Good. I do not object at all. And then a charm of Dislocation. And I also made some dislocated pedestals, which I believe are the equivalent of the book stands. We'll go and see if that is the case. So what I want to do is just make sure I don't hit this with anything anything I can use up too early. I want to see if I can teleport back to my base without using this crazy system. So let's say I wanted to arrive back, oh, I don't know, let's say here. This'll do. So is it just going to be shift right click to bind current? Yes, so shift right click. Okay, it's bound. Now I should 20 uses remaining. So I can just use it wherever and it'll take me back there, but it will take damage effectively. And I don't want it to take damage. I want to use it as a static teleporter. So I can get around really easily between dimensions. So between the end and between the nether and this space. So let's give this a go. Let's see if this is all I need. I probably need, well, knowing me, I probably need power of overlook something. Yeah, I'll just put it here for now. And if I put you on there. All right. So. Magic. And we're back at base. And that is very, very, very nice. He did cut us a nether star, a full stack of Draconium ore, full stack of gold ore, lots of other stuff that I want to say, but I can now get out of there. I wonder if I can let you label these. If there's any mechanism to label them, that would be kind of cool. I could just put a sign obviously behind them, but yeah. Maybe I can put them in an anvil. Don't know. I will look into that anyway. If you know a way to label them, then let me know. I can take them back. If I right click, it will use up use this way. Can I put it back on the pedestal? If not, I'll just make another one of these. It's no big deal. It also takes some health off me from the looks of things, and hunger. So yeah, don't want to do that. Will you go back on the stand, though? Why are we going around in circles doing this? Yep. Seems to work fine. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Feel free to use it as a portable one if you like. and go from there. So we got teleportation working. There is an advanced version of it. I need to make one to go back again now. There is an advanced version of it called, surprisingly enough, the Enhanced Charm of Dislocation, and that has a graphic user interface, basically, and this requires 3 of them, which didn't sound so bad. Charge Draconian block, that actually, I don't know how to make that, there's no recipe. I will have to look in the book, which I have in here. Charge Draconian block, index. Charge Draconian block. Place a Draconian block in a charging device. Oh, okay. Right. So it's the same stuff we've already used. That's fine. What isn't fine is this. Awakened Core. Awakened Core needs Wyvern Cores, 4 of them, so it's already much more expensive. Iridium, Bedrockium, which we've made. Terrasteel, which is the high-end Botania stuff, so we've not got there yet. And unfortunately, Void Metal, which is Thorncraft, which is something, if you haven't done it, is all the way down here in the Eldritch tab. Void Metal. So you're going to have to basically corrupt yourself. And in here, you then throw Void Seeds into a Crucible. Although, to be honest, we could make those without the Crucible because of the whole advanced system now. And the Void Seeds, and I'm sorry if you can hear a dog bark in the background, that's not something I can get rid of, is made by these. So Alienus, Tenebrae, and Vacuous. Yeah. I'm going to have to work on that one, as well as Terrasteel. Terrasteel needs the Elven portal up, so that's another thing in Thorncraft. It's Botania we've got to get to. So yeah, I will do those probably within the episodes. I've done them before in previous seasons. I'll cover them briefly, but not in depth. You know, not a huge amount in depth. I think you would probably be bored if I did those all over again so recently. But let me know if you think differently in comments. I'm more than happy to hear what you guys would like to see. Alright, so we've got teleportation going. What next? What next is I need to hit the right key to stop the recording. So, I did rename the pack. Well, the pack. The charm. What was I talking about the pack? In the anvil. Overworld. Straightforward. Just put it back on the stand once you're done. And I've created a few more machines. Now, this is because we need to get further into Draconic Evolution. And to do that, we need to make some items. Specifically, where are you? The Awakened Draconian block. We can make 4 of these at a time. They use the dragon heart that we got from the end dragon. And you can only do the ritual, and you can make up to 4 at a time. There's never any reason to do less than 4, because you want as many of those from each dragon heart that you can. And I say each dragon heart because, well, we're going to have to resurrect the dragon to get more hearts, and that is a little bit harder. If we look at Resurrection Stone, which is the way we do it, along with a ritual, it's going to require 5 nether stars, like this, which is actually the cheapest, well, the easiest part of this recipe at the moment. What it also requires is mob souls, and we can't get those right now. 2 ways of doing it. One is via draconic weapons, which I don't have. And even so, even if I went for the draconic sword, that actually requires 1 awakened draconian block, 2, 3, because that's what's in an awakened core, 4, oh wait, 5. So we can't do it from 1 dragon heart, which means we need to get things another way. Maybe it'll work with the wyvern sword, but I'm not too keen anyway on making manual efforts at this point in the game. We're kind of mid-game, and we may as well get something that isn't manual. So that brings us to enchant, which is the other method of doing things, and not on a sword, on a diamond spike. The reason why it's a diamond spike and not one of the cheaper ones is because the diamond spike drops player loot. So when you kill something, you get loot that isn't dropped by any other method, and the diamond spike lets us do this. Which requires a golden spike, which requires an iron spike, which... you get the idea. I'm going to do this off camera. and I'm going to do the whole thing off camera. In fact, between the episodes, we're going to create another mob farm. However, you won't just get that from a diamond spike alone. You won't get the mob souls just from it, or at least very rarely. What we need to do instead is to enchant the diamond spike, or at least enchant multiple diamond spikes, perhaps. To do that, I've created these items: an auto-enchanter, an auto-disenchanter, a typesetting table, and a printing press. If you've used these before, good for you. I'm just going to quickly go through them, just for everyone's entertainment. This is just like a regular enchantment table, but you select the number of levels. It gets powered by mob essence, and you don't need any paraphernalia like bookshelves around there. The disenchanter is very similar, and the reason why you require these two together is because to get certain enchant, it's helpful if you use something like a golden sword, get it enchanted, and you'll get a more appropriate thing than just a random book that you try to enchant. So you put it on the sword, and you pull it back off the sword with a book in here along with the sword, and you'll get these kind of things back. We're looking for one called Reaper, and I've been through and done that already. We've got Reaper 4, another Reaper 4. You combine two of those in an anvil to get Reaper 5. You can't get Reaper 5 without the anvil with two Reaper 4s. And just to briefly go through this, I'm wearing a set of reading glasses. You can also use the monocle, and I think there's almost certainly something else. I forgot what it's called. And when you do that, the typesetting table and the printing press become active, if you like. Or at least you're able to see writing. But if I take these off for a second, no writing. Writing, so it requires 40 levels. Looting 3 is in the left-hand book. So if I can take this back out again. This is something I got off one of these swords. You just right-click it to put it in the left-hand slot, and I just need to put that back before I end up using that up. And you're basically saying it needs a chase, which is relatively easy. 2 mana steel, 2 thaumium. This, I think it's a printing press, actually requires 3 blocks of thaumium, so do bear in mind you need to go and do some Thaumcraft stuff. And then we just shift click or just shift right click on the book, and it creates an enchanted plate. The plate, in turn, we use in the printing press. The most difficult part of this printing press for me is always that ink plate. I put 26 books here. It was like a half stack of books before I started. You right click your plate into this thing here. But I was also having trouble getting the ink onto the ink plate for some reason, which is this thing at the back. So if you're having trouble with that, just go around back and drop your stack of ink sacks. You see there's 58 ink left onto this bit right here, and you'll be fine. So then we just put our enchanted plate on here, like that, and it will start manufacturing, or at least copying, our Looting 3 book from the plate into multiple books. You get 3 books per plate, and 1 plate comes from 1 book, so you're basically tripling it every time. And in this case, I'm not going to need... I'm not sure if you can get Looting 4. I don't think you can. I think Looting 3 is the maximum, but if someone wants to correct me in the comments. Otherwise, it's just good to, at least, if you're going to use something up, to at least have duplicates so that you have some spare. In the case of the Reaper, we actually need more. And in fact, I've got 1 Reaper 5, but I'm probably going to need to duplicate these again if I want more than 1 diamond spike, which I probably do, to be honest. I probably want maybe 3. And that's because I'm probably going to create a conveyor belt system that pulls mobs, or pushes, depending on how you think about it, into some diamond spikes. So just bear in mind that's what I'll be doing between the episodes. And yeah, feel free to go and use this kind of setup to make whatever you want, really. I mean, they're pretty straightforward once you get them going. They're just a bit weird for everyone to remember how to actually do these. You need the chases in the back slot, the enchanted book in the left, the plate comes out the right, and then the plate goes into there, and that's about it. Straightforward. I don't think I have anything else this episode. I think I need to go and construct that mob farm. As to what we put in there, I think I'm going to reuse the cursed earth that I no longer need over here. Yeah, those witches are outside. Okay. Don't know how they got out, but yeah, I'm not going near them. We're going to use a similar setup to this one, and I think this one, you see all the loot jumping around near that center spot, because probably that chest is full. I think on this one I'm probably going to just dump all the loot because it's for the Blood Altar and I don't need to worry about it. I'll instead have a separate mob farm from the Cursed Earth underneath here, which I'm not using anymore, and then we'll use those to spawn mobs that we want to get other loot from. And I'll then set up like a filing cabinet or other loot system to filter stuff out before it gets in here, because I keep on losing space. I'm already up to like 7 of these drives. Yeah, so I need to replace this one with dents soon as well, just to make things a little bit easier on that front. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done for this episode. If you've liked it, thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. But leave me comments. I have some questions, and we'll see where we get to from there. If you want to hear more events about when I get started, then feel free to follow me on Twitter at Greyduster, or just subscribe here on YouTube, and you'll get notifications that way, depending on what your YouTube settings are. Yep, so next episode, more Draconic Evolution. I think we're going to head for the enhanced version of this, and we're also going to head into, first of all, getting the Awakened Draconian blocks, and then resurrecting the dragon. Thanks for watching.